my studies at the Buddhist Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, both in Dharamsala. From my experience, both of Jamin Choling, the institute, I observed many things that we can adopt in Mongolia, such as monastic discipline, pronouncing the systematic study of Buddhist philosophy. In 1995, with the support of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Tibetan government in exile, years before debate, tournaments for the promotion of philosophical studies among nuns from Tibet, India, Bhutan, and Nepal was officially announced. In the future, I believe that highly educated nuns will come forth who will make profound contribution to the Buddha Dharma. Buddhist philosophy is one of the 10 Buddhist sciences, 5 major and 5 minor. Throughout Buddhist history, Mongolia produced many great scholars who were highly educated in Buddhism. These scholars produced thousands of renowned scriptures composed in several languages, including Tibetan. Traditionally in Mongolia Buddhism, women were able to study general Buddhist subjects, but they don't study Buddhist philosophy. Hence, ancient people believed that Buddhist philosophy. So, in today's quick changing and globalizing world, women have important role to play and big responsibility to ensure the flourishing of Buddha Dharma. Women will
very illuminating. Our next speaker is Paula Arai. She has a PhD in Buddhism from Harvard University and now teaches at Louisiana State University. She's the author of Women Living Zen and is currently finishing a book called Healing Zen. Please welcome Paula Arai.
Japanese Buddhist women tell it, the challenges of caring for a person who gradually degenerates over several years are cumulative. The realization that an elder is no longer capable of doing something on her own is slow in the making, because of the desire on everyone's part for the person to be strong and healthy. It is also a matter of respect when you are caring for an elder. When the power shifts and the younger generation needs to be assertive and take the lead is often imperceptible. There is no formal ritual recognizing this change that requires all parties to cultivate a new identity. In the shuffle, dignity, pride, and confidence are often lost to the elder, while patience is often lost to the caregiver. In order to cultivate understanding of the dimensions and demands of Zen in the domestic sphere, one of my Japanese Buddhist consultants, I'll call her Yamaguchi-san, these are all pseudonyms, allowed her experience to be subject to scholarly inquiry. Listen to her poignant example. Grandma had often been a model of the quintessential embodiment of elegance, grace, and kindness. Her humility was not put on for public appearances. Rather, it reflected the core of her beauty and strength. As Grandma aged, however, she went from this refined mode of being to refusing to change her clothes, soiled from toilet accidents. Even her grandson's complaints about the stench in their home did not help. After several years of this predicament, tensions and stubbornness reached seismic levels. A sharp butcher knife was drawn and aimed. Threats targeting the old woman's last ounce of self-respect were fired. Yamaguchi-san, the daughter-in-law, exercised the tiny remainder of respect for her beloved mother-in-law by leaving the house. Although leaving a demented 97-year-old woman alone in the house was not necessarily safe, it was safer than if she had stayed. She had exhausted her patience years ago. Now her own grip on reality had snapped. Desperate, Yamaguchi-san knew she had to get help for herself. She sought counsel from a highly respected Zen nun. With a new sense of possibility, she returned home. Yamaguchi-san began chanting at the home Buddhist altar, as Grandma had done every day. Starting her day with rituals at the home altar grounded her and enabled her to feel connected to something larger and more meaningful. She could experience the interrelatedness that undergirds the teachings in the Heart Sutra, which she had also started copying in the ritualized practice in Japanese of Shakyo. She also realized that when she hung the laundry, cooked, and cleaned, she embodied that interrelatedness. The beauty in the present moment became easier to experience. With each of these ritualized experiences, Yamaguchi-san felt supported, connected, and energized. It is not that her patience was never tried again, but it was not lost. She had been able to keep the vow she made when Grandma first moved in. Quote, "I vowed that I would make a home that was better for having Grandma live with us. I am grateful that my children grew up in a home with 3 generations." End quote. Yamaguchi-san's ritualized practices are an example of domestic Zen. The dynamics and contours of domestic Zen are driven and shaped by the circumstances and needs of the family. As women serve on the front lines of depression, dementia, and death, their questions are far from the koans like, "Does a dog have Buddha nature?" The women cry out questions directly from the messiness and misery of their intense situations. Therefore, the practices they adopt or create are based on the necessities of their lives and do not reflect a concern for observing or even maintaining the doctrinal and institutional boundaries of Zen or even of Mahayana Buddhism. It is unsurprising then that Zen in a domestic context includes rituals and practices from a spectrum of sources and inspirations. The collective experiences of these women ranges from facing death through disease, the untimely loss of family members, infertility, and crippling chronic pain. These experiences have in turn given rise to powerful emotional responses, including paralytic fear, agonizing heartache, depression over the loss of dreams, and terror, often expressed as anger, about not being able to perform daily tasks. The smell of the incense is impossible to ignore. It is a way a mother can express that she cares and is willing and trying to help. It does not, however, invite a battle of competing wills or a jockeying of power. It invites a reflective and calm approach to sorting out the situation. Domestic Zen is predisposed towards creative responses to immediate needs. On the one hand, homemade rituals seem like they might not be as effective as practices that have stood the test of time and are acknowledged by high authorities. On the other hand, it is not surprising that they are effective because they are, after all, tailor-made to suit the needs of the person who developed them. Kimura-san, a humble, petite, and devout Zen Buddhist woman, was in her late 60s. This is an example of a homemade ritual. After some tests, she went to her doctor for the diagnosis. He told her that her cancer was incurable. Her response to the prognosis was to create a ritual involving a tenugui cotton cleaning cloth. To her, this was no common cloth. It was given to her by a highly revered Zen abbess, Aoshi Yamashundo, who is with us today. It was the cloth she was sure would heal her. Unlike the hundreds she had used to clean tables and dishes over her decades of life, this one had the calligraphy of the abbess and the image of a figure with hands held in prayer, commissioned by the abbess, printed on it. It is important to know that the exchange of tenugui cloths is ubiquitous in the gift-giving culture of Japan. Everyone must give and receive gifts so often that practical gifts are preferred, food and cleaning supplies like soap and towels among the most common. The abbess had these traditional cleaning cloths made so she would have something useful to give to people. She thought that many might not actually clean with it, but might use it for special occasion, handling special dishes perhaps. She did not imagine that it would be used for healing. Kimura-san, though, believed that the cloth had the power to purify her body and considered the cloth a manifestation of Buddhist wisdom and compassion, of Buddha nature. She lay in bed with one cloth on her pillow and one on her legs, the location of her cancer. Over 10 years later, doctors can find no trace of cancer in her body. She has a twinkle in her eyes as she leans over and touches my arm, saying, "Honto da yo, Paula-san. It's true, Paula-san. My healing came through that cloth." In this case, healing did not result from a recognized practice. It was not even intended by the maker and giver of the cloth. The only observable conclusion is that the meaning with which the receiver of the cloth endowed the cloth had an efficacious power when it was placed on her body. Regardless of the mechanics of this unpretentious ritualized use of the cleaning cloth, the gratitude and joy that this woman experiences is genuine. After learning of this occurrence, others have tried this similar method and report positive results. These personal images of Zen demonstrate that family practices of Zen are complex, ritualistic, and focused on the health and well-being of family members. The empirical information reveals the concerns, practices, and characteristics of domestic Zen. Most notable is that women are at the center of this realm of Zen. Although I was only able to offer a few illustrations, the range of circumstances among the women's families include health-focused ailments from common colds and chronic pain to terminal cancer diagnosis.
Transition. So we want to encourage dialogue between international participants and Mongolian participants, and for this we depend on our friends who speak both languages. So please try to find a group where there are at least two cultures. If you can find a Mongolian translator to help, I hope you will begin a dialogue with our Mongolian sisters. Second, we are living in a time of crisis because Ulaanbaatar is in crisis. So let us be sure to send our metta, our loving kindness, to the people of Mongolia, especially in Ulaanbaatar city right now. In 1989, Mongolia was able to achieve a bloodless democratic revolution. Let's hope that this one is also non-violent. From the sublime to the ridiculous. Next, I just want to remind you that the toilets are beneath us. There's an entrance in the back.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. No? Okay.
She's studying in Buddhism and participating in the conferences and teachings. Her name is Nortman. Nortman.
My name is Tisha. I come from Mongolia. My name is Munster.
Sorry, I didn't get the name.
Tikshi.
She said Tikshi.
Tikshi. Tikshi.
Tikshi. T-E-G-S-H-E.
My name is Munster. I am a Mongolian. I like her Mongolian Buddhist.
Originally, I'm from Burma, but I live long time since 1993 in Nepal. Right now, I'm working with my friends, Saving the Youngest project in Nepal. Please welcome to Nepal. Okay?
I am Bhikkhuni Dhamma Vijaya. She's translating. Yeah. Dhamma Vijaya. Now translation. Yeah. My name is practice is and in Nepal we have very few nuns like Bhikkhuni. So we are the member of this association, Saketita Association and International.
Together, and then they give the foods for street people, homeless people.
Тэгээ бидний хувьд бол нэг юм байна. Одоо ингэж ямар ч байсан эхний шинэ хаад ухааны мэдээс ингэж суралцаа явж байна. Цаашд мэдлэгээ жоохон чангах. Тэгээ одоо ийм холбооны хүмүүстэй танилцчаад бас баяртай.
They're very happy to meet you all there here, and because they're studying and interested in Buddhism well, so our purpose is one.
Монгол хүн тийм байдаг. Энэ чимээр энээр харагддаг. Юугаараа харагддаг. Одоо Мариас хүн гараад ирсэн дийлэн энэ ч юм уу багш байдаг. Өнөөдөр Монгол хүн бодож ирэх хийж байгаа ажлаасаа болоод удамжлагдсан юм. Наас
After the communist time, after 1990, it's often temples and restoring now. Buddhism, Mongolian Buddhism is now restoring again, and most of them, Buddhist women are retired women now, like her, just like her, and Buddhism is in our own heart, in Mongolia's heart, because most of Buddhist women are teachers or doctors or something like that, and they have very wide compassion, and they're very active, and they're very they aren't going on a blind path. They're understanding Buddhism well. It's a good.
Манай нөгөө одоо уламжлалаар ингээ Буддист ирснээр бас нэг тийм юу та. Уламжлж ирсэн. Манай хотод юу байдаг? Одоо залуучууд бол хэцгээ юм биш үү? Бүгд асарч байгаа л бүгд тэгж хайн маань үнтэй байна. Шик юу
Can you name Mahayana Center? Stupa Cafe.
Oh, I see. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Bayar. Urhangaimak.
Her name is Kumaya. She came here from a countryside, Urhanga province.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Her name is Lachma, and her province is Lama, and she's a member of Mongolian she's a member of Mongolian committees.
Oh, I see. Oh, great.
Her name is Esther. She's a member of Mongolian.
get to their church, and they always hear about Christian, and our people's not full understanding about Buddhism, just this traditional religion. They always hear about Christian and other religions, and they get in Christian. This is big problem to our country, I think.
Can you translate the Mongolian? I cannot.
Энэ чирээ цууж байгаа юм те.
Яг одоо миний бодлоор Монголд одоо асуудал байгаа гадаадын бизнес болж байгаа. Тэгээд бид нар яаж хийх вэ гэхээр нэгдүгээр хүмүүс яг ядуу байгаа гэсэн тийм индустриалын юугаар тэгээд манай Монголд өөртөө бизнес ба зөвхөн мэдээ юм да. Яг том байдлаар шийдэж байгаа. Христийн чимсээр нэг юм ингээд хийж авах дээр яг
та нарт яаж нөлөөлж байна залуу бүхний шинэ хүмүүс тэгээд бүхний шинийг амьдралаа татварлагчдын хүмүүс яг ямар хөө байдлаар төсөж байна вэ? Энэ талаар та нарын санал болгохоор байна.
Уламжлалт одоо тэр үзэл хүн ухаанаас очоод тэр холдсон нь бол ойлгогдож байгаа.
Actually, in Mongolian society, Mongolian politics has a big problem, but this expression is wrong. They have it. We can see that this present situation. We can see that from this situation, which is Mongolians don't know our own tradition and have to love each other. They don't know this understanding. We can see that from this urgent situation she says.
Okay, I have another
What is
question.
it? What is it?
I have another question. Actually,
While I catch up a little.
Let her write first. She needs to write.
What about moving to our Gaya and have the group there in all silence?
No more time.
question and they answer.
Moving where?
Into our Gaya.
Too late.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's only 10
yes,
minutes.
yes,
left.
yes,
Wait.
Okay, one
We
question.
need to introduce another person also. We have a new person. So we need to introduce these two new people.
Because we are.
And two more.
My name is Japsa. I am doctor. I speak English smart.
All right, good. Thank you. Well, he's not sure whether he's here or not.
His name is Teddy. She's name is Teddy.
And she a Buddhist practitioner?
She meditates for 6 years.
And we have more now. We have more. The woman in the pink.
Her name is Desma. She is in the Dakhan city. Mahana Center has a branch in Dakhan city. She is a worker of that center. And Bakula Rinpoche gave her a wow.
How about this? Yes, they are very happy.
Japarimbuchi was heard many times and gave her teachings, and Jadorimbuchi also gave her teachings, other tantric mantras.
Very nice.
The central branch in Dhaka city. Her name is Tashtonduk.
Oh, yeah.
She teach children about how to help parents and how to manage good family. Her name is Yem Jiao, and also she is a worker of Mahayana Central branch in Dhaka city. And we have a We have a new person here too.
Oh, yes, yes.
Also, they wanted to thank their first teacher Sarah, who is from England, and now they heard she is sick, and they wanted to thank her well. And if you are know her, please ask them. This one here. Одоо шилжилтийн Монголын бүхний шишний талаар тийм мэдээлэл ярьж байгаа. Тэгээд өөрөө мараад байна. Okay.
Interest, they can give the answer, okay? Right now, Mongolia is a revival, okay? Revival the Buddhism. So, the other religion also come according to their talking about, we understand the other religion come and they do like as a missionary, they give the food or something like that. So how do you feel to your young Buddhist mind, how to understand and which way we should do something like that? You can find that? Please ask.
Remember, generosity, Ramita, most biggest and most nice generosity is give Dharma teachings for all people. It's our purpose and it's our traditional Buddhism path.
So can you stop for that? Suppose just from you, what do you want? English, please.
Одоо угаасаа манай Монголд одоо юу 10 жилийн баан жилийн өмнө юу яадаг ингээд олон одоо юу нэг ойлгоод юу сайжруулах замаар байхаас илүү гэж ойлгож яасан зүгээр.
We should children and we are waiting for good results.
거기 다 써 있을 거요. 저 안 가고요. 저 안 가고요. 최정년. 이춘하고살. Одоо байгаа зүйлээр очоод энэ хөдөө холбоо бариад тэгээд яаж олно нэ тэр хүмүүсээ явцгаад тэр ном
She bring the patient to her. Go. You already in there. She was there. Okay. You should ask Leche where she is, and you might meet her. She started, so she and Leche started Sakyadita. And now she's ordained.
I'm now 73, so when I was 20, I couldn't believe anymore in a creative God, and so I went out of church. But somehow I always was interested in Buddhism, and I read books, but I really didn't really get it. Only until I was 50, I found a teacher at the Tibetan Center in Hamburg, and it was a Tibetan Geshe in Hamburg. Yeah. And so I studied with him like 8 years. Studied for philosophical schools, and that was my main interest, to know about how to work with the philosophical ideas of Buddhism.
Энэ хүн болохоор нөгөө герман хүнтэй тэгээд протестант гэр бүл төрсөн гинэ. Нэлээд тийм хүчтэй тэрэндээ итгэдэг тэр гэр бүл төрсөн. Тэгээд 20 эдтэй одоо өөрөө 73 настай. Тэгээд 20 эдтэй байхдаа бас л бид нэр одоо нөгөө эзэнтийн гэр итгэдэг Христ байсан. Тэгээд энэний дараагаар би Бурхны шний ном сургаалыг олж аваад уншдаг байсан. Зүгээр номыг уншаад ингэ явдаг байсан. Тэгээ харин дөнгөж 50 нас хүрч иж нэг багштай болсон гинэ. Тийм төвдөө нэг төв.
But we were saying, you are friend. Say, we are safe here.
Expert to give several talks on campus. So why is this generation in Taiwan sleepless? The answer, of course, is stress. More and more students resort to seeking a doctor's help. One evening, not long ago, I visited a childhood friend who is a psychiatrist. And I visited him at his clinic. While waiting for him to finish work, I was shocked to find attributing their stress to their M-type, M-shaped society. So that's the second M, right? So what is that M? This M-shaped society it was coined by Omae Kaniji, a leading Japanese business strategist and writer. He uses the term to describe the society in which the gap between rich and poor is ever increasing. The structure of the society is becoming M-shaped in distribution, with the middle class disappearing. Perhaps part true, part mistaken, the term M-shaped society seems to pop up frequently in conversation and writing in university circles. With this reiterated crisis over the disappearing middle class, young people of this generation have become anxious to join the wealthy rungs of society. Often, however, they find themselves falling into the less privileged category, leading to a vicious circle of endless, futile competition. Despite the ultimately empty nature of all terms, to some extent, the younger generation in Taiwan does face more pressure in contemporary society, whatever shape it may take. In college, the impossible goal. In the Chinese job market, some are even labeled the strawberry group, 草莓族, good-looking but unable to endure hardly any pressure. Suffering inevitably follows. Immediately, we may find ourselves responding, the Buddha Dharma has so much to offer for this younger generation in Taiwan. And of course, the Dharma also needs the younger generation to help pass on the torch of wisdom. Nevertheless, how do we share the wisdom of the Dharma with Generation Me if they are so absorbed in this M-shaped society? Even worse, the young may no longer be familiar with the language used in the Buddhist Sutra, or like my young cousin, find it ancient, preachy, and not so interesting. Okay? In fact, this younger generation communicates in a language so far beyond ordinary human comprehension that is now known as Martian. Okay? So the Martian language is the third M. The so-called 火星文 in Chinese is a local form of language that mixes a variety of linguistic and non-linguistic elements and is popular among Taiwanese youth today, especially in the cyberspace. Open language to be an effective way of reducing my own language egoism. In addition to an awareness of Martian language, it is also important to keep in mind that various traits of Generation Me, although we may feel eager to rescue them from the miseries of me, we must remember that this generation has grown up with praise, and so that we must try to keep our language as positive as possible. For example, an expression from the sutras that is frequently used in Dharma talks in Taiwan is that we live in a Dharma ending age, 末法时代. In such an age, it is said that all of us are naturally strong-willed, stubborn, and difficult to teach. While people from my generation or earlier generations may find this not too difficult to process, but Generation Me may find such a saying discouraging. And another student of mine told me, he came to me to complain that, my monk teacher says that all women are dirty. And he just found that, very unacceptable. And so the monk now has to be very careful because the younger generation are more gender aware. Okay? So while people from my generation, after all, I'm sorry, this expression in Chinese translation is from Sanskrit, and because languages and their users are impermanent and change over time, reinterpretation is always necessary and inevitable. So my conclusion, as a matter of fact, the Buddha taught many skillful means long before the coming of this new generation. For example, he taught the 4 principles of benefiting others, which is giving, using kind and loving language, facilitating the good works of others, and treating others as equals. Personally, I have found all these 4 principles readily applicable in engaging our younger generation. If we can become more aware of the characteristics of Generation 3 and are able to practice what the Buddha taught, the younger generation can definitely benefit from the Dharma teachings and to help pass on the torch of wisdom to the next generation. We don't know the name and characteristics of this younger generation, but I feel sure that the Dharma will be useful to anyone in any generation. It is definitely our responsibility to pass the Dharma on, engage the younger generation, and use this opportunity to practice the Dharma. Finally, even though most examples I have used in this paper are from Taiwan, in this increasingly globalized world, I'm sure that the younger generation everywhere exhibit similar characteristics. It is therefore my sincere hope that this talk from my experience in Taiwan will benefit all those who are interested in engaging the younger generation, and that all younger generations will benefit from the understanding of their elders. May all beings be free from suffering.
English is not very good, so just I will try. And secondly, I want to say thanks to Dharma Lekshe that who gave me this. I'm going to tell something about me, how I engaged in Buddhism in my young age. So I am the third girl of my family of 8 girls. I was born in a small town called Hastinapur near Delhi in North India, in a Dalit family, where there is still lots of prejudice against girls. If a boy is born, people celebrate and distribute sweets because he will continue the name of the family. Even women also support this situation. But when a girl born, they feel grief as if somebody is died. They have an extra burden on their heads because a son will stay with the family even after marriage. He will bring the money through his work, and when he will marry, his wife will bring lots of dowry into the family. But on the other hand, for a girl, the family has to feed the nation as Brahmacharani in TBMSc. And through my studies and my work, I can see I have deepened my faith and in Buddha Dharma. My practice of meditation, visualization, study and ethics has made me become more mature and responsible person. I lead retreats for women, men and young people while having a busy job. I have a husband, 2 lovely children. I know in our youth retreats that young people see me as an inspiration because despite my responsibilities, I still enjoy playing and having fun with them. They see that I have commitment to friends of all ages, and they seem to find it helpful to share their life's difficulties with me. To be an example of someone who takes responsibility in this way is another way of engage the young generation. So I found some more ways to engage the young generation, so I'm going to say about them. I lead, as I told before, I lead some youth retreats once in a year with one of our other team member from Dhammajyoti team. We are introducing meditation, some simple teaching of Buddha, some study of their natural environment. We have debates on social issues. We prepare dramas based on those teachings to help make them more clear. These retreats are very enthusiastically supported by young people, and I see this is another way to engage the younger generation. We can arrange some small workshop or day retreats for youth, which we are already doing in Pune. Introduce them the right livelihood, one of the steps of Noble Eightfold Path. This can help them to choose right livelihood, and there would be less chances of corruption or unethical behavior from them in future. Another way is creating some work or right livelihood projects for them where they can work in good condition and practice the Buddhism together is another way. Arranging ongoing activities for youth where they will always engage with Buddhism, not only occasionally, is another way. We run some karate classes we have found are helpful in teaching meditation and Dhamma. This is also, I see, another way. Last year we arranged some self-defense workshop where girls from all castes and religious groups came, where they were learning how to defend themselves without unnecessarily harming anyone. They learned meditation, puja, and how to communicate without violent speech. I think this is a really important way to engage the young generation. Recently in ATMT we have started a new project called Women's Empowerment Project. In it we are working for 20 years old girls. We are giving them knowledge of their changes in their bodies and how to take care of them. And we talk about domestic violence and how to make police complaints if something happened with them. Also, we run some vocational training courses. This project is successfully engaging the young generation, and it's surprising, and you will be shocked when we did some hemoglobin test of these girls. There are many girls who had only 4-point hemoglobin or 3-point hemoglobin or 6-point hemoglobin. So we need this kind of projects. So Arya Tara Mahila Trust, in short form ATMT, it is a registered charity, and before 4 years we registered this charity. It's run by women, especially we are working for women and the children who are most disadvantaged people, especially for Dalit people we are working. And in that we are running some computer education center, and it is also running for all those people who are most disadvantaged. And I think this is also a way where we can teach and we can engage them in Buddhism. So it is running successfully, and many people, there are some 14 years girls are also learning there, and 75 years old people are also learning there, I'm happy to say. Another project we have, it is called Dhamma-Jyoti project. I am the member of Dhamma-Jyoti project. So 7 people are officially working in that project, and we are going in different areas of Maharashtra and few other states. Means half of the India, I can say, we covered. And we are going, and it's not only 7 people, we are 370 people who call order members or Dhammacharani or Dhammacharis, and some other volunteers, so who go and do this kind of work. We run the different kinds of retreats. We run in different levels of retreat. Some of them are meditation retreats, some of them are about the Buddhist study. So that kind of work we are doing. Youth retreats we are running in that project. So that is another way. Another thing I told, self-defense project we are running, it's about the domestic violence. And in India it is very much necessary because a woman who is working there and who is, her family is totally depend on her. She is doing some domestic work, but still her husband is beating her. Still she has to bear all these things. So how to protect them and how to deal with this situation, we are running this project. Another project we are running is helping the hostel projects. They are run by DBMSC, and some of our women from our trust are going to help them regularly how to be efficient in their work and how to meet the beneficiaries' need. So that kind of help we are giving them in our project, this helping hostel. And I think this was very small and short introduction of our movement and what work we are doing in Arya Tara Mahila Trust.
Thank you. I think that Dhammacharini really embodies the spirit of Sakyadhita as I have come to understand it over the last few years, in that she brings together an intellectual ability, she shares her personal experience with others, and she's committed to bettering the life of Buddhist women everywhere. And as an older woman, I'm so grateful to see such capable young women coming up. It's now my pleasure to introduce Laila Najar. Naila is a very humble person. She has a very important position in working for the Minister of Resources, Energy and Tourism in Australia.
An organization that represents 40 Buddhist organizations in Victoria. And Victoria is a small state in Australia. To work with children, you need to have criminal check, a police check that you don't have any criminal records. You can't work with children at school or a childcare center or a kindergarten unless you have a check. We like to teach children to be wise, to practice kindness, and to help to facilitate the development of awareness of their mind by watching their mind. We don't go to schools to change children to become Buddhist. We teach Buddhist children and children who are not Buddhist. The program was developed through consultations with all members of the council to find the middle way of all traditions. Because we have different traditions, we wanted to make sure that students learn the fundamentals of Buddhism, but that reflects everyone in the community. The president of the Buddhist Council of Victoria, Sunim Chi Kwan, was involved in the consultation process. The council wanted to make sure that the curriculum reflected joint issues and beliefs. And the curriculum needed to be approved by the government. And it was really important to make sure that we reflect the framework of the government policies. So it's not any person can go and teach religion. You have to be accepted by the government. Through the education, we use meditation. We use breath, concentrating on the breath. We discuss and share experience and information. And we like to teach children to learn to be quiet and to enjoy the stillness and the beauty of quietness. In my class, we do stretching exercises before we sit down, because I teach grade 3-4, which is children between 8 and 9 years old. I only have them for half an hour, and after lunch, they're really hyper. So I like first to get them to do some stretches to learn to relax. And then we do meditation on the breath, and then we do visualization. We do meditation on the rainbow meditation, lotus meditation, mountain meditation. So it's special meditation for children. And other teachers to use the sound and mantra and walking meditation. You might ask why we teach meditation to young children. We feel the children, it helps them to develop goodwill to all beings and to themselves, and to rejoice in their good fortune. It helps them to develop compassion. And we tell them stories about the Buddha from the curriculum. Not Rafa. I learned to meditate and be calm. I enjoyed meditation, reading, and class activities. You have to be kind to everyone. I get relaxed. Calm down, be nice, and always happy. And I learned caring and respect. So this is what the students said. Thank you.
All we need. Compassion should be your attitude, empathy and wisdom. Yo, that's good. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, respect for you, respect for me. I must be the relation. Then you get an engaged generation. Engagement is what you need. Engagement and you'll succeed. Engagement is what we need. Engagement, that's all we need. Engagement is important for young and old. If there is none, life will become cold. Let's become partners, whether you're young or old. Become engaged or life becomes cold. Engagement is what you need. Engagement and you'll succeed. Engagement is what you need. Engagement, that's all we need. Yo. So, thank you. It's a great honor and pleasure to being here, to have the opportunity to share with you some of my experiences trying to combine Buddhist attitude in my profession in a Western world, and that means in my case in Germany. My name is Rotraudwurst, yes. Difficult for everyone to pronounce, so most of you know me as Small Jumper. You all know the Big Jumper, who is Venerable Jumper Zedran from the Tibetan Center in Hamburg. Me, I'm only the small and not venerable jumper. There, I'm a director of 2 institutes. One is called Institute for Further Development, Meditation and Buddhist Christian Dialogue, where I teach meditation and hold seminars about Buddhism, interreligious dialogue, etc. The second institute is called Help for Elder and Young People. In that institute, I work together with adults from about 19 to 100 years old who are interested in cultural education, music, history, politics, etc., but also people who need support. Elderly people are often alone or handicapped and need someone to talk to or to have some vivid inspirations like playing music together or just to have a little trip by car. Especially meaningful to me is my work with the young ones who need support to deal with school problems. The children are teenagers or children from 8 to 18 years of age. So I will consider today my work with children and teenagers at school age, and I'm pleased to be able to share it with you. Before I go, I like to mention it's not my intention to convert people to Buddhism. As His Holiness the Dalai Lama said in a German television program some time ago, you cannot change your religion, culture, tradition like your clothes. It is better to stay in your tradition and do your best than to change it because you think this year it's in vogue to become a Buddhist. Next year maybe it's in vogue to become something else. So you have to be serious. And so if my clients are Christians or Buddhists, Jews or Muslims or atheists, it's all right with me. I respect individual differences. Now back to my subject. I like to give you two examples, an idea of complexity, but also how simple it is. The young ones come to my institute to the help for elder and young people because they want in the first place support in school problems. Sometimes they have problems with the subjects, the lessons, for example, translating a text from Latin into German, or those kinds of things, but after all, it shows that they have often problems with the teachers, other pupils, or their parents. And of course, in that age, they have questions about themselves. It seems to me that these problems are quite dominant and often the true origin of their difficulty to learn. So I feel my job is to see the whole person and their problems and to find a solution in a wholesome way together with them. Once I had a student about 15 years old who had to come to the Institute Help for Elder and Young People because of his bad marks. His parents want him to come. He was not interested. And he did not have a clue of an idea that he could have fun learning things he has not learned yet. He should write texts because he was not good in grammar, in writing stories and essays, explaining things. When he had to write, he became aggressive and cried, "No." So we made a deal. We both wrote stories, and later we read them loudly, and he always listened curiously and wanted to hear more from that what I wrote. So becoming interested in my texts, he began to write his own. But in every text, he explained how he would kill me one day with a big bazooka. He also thought it was funny. He did not react, I did not react on what he has written. I only corrected his way of expressing things and his grammar. Then, after a while, he began to talk about how he felt at school, and that he had problems with his classmates, and he was afraid of sports where they treated him badly. I told him we could not only learn writing texts together, but we also could play basketball, his very problem, for training him in sports. So I, about 3 times older than him, and so every time then full of sweat and perfectly exhausted, prepared him for his sports exam. And he began to have fun, showed what he could and that he was capable. And after the exam, he sent an email because he could not wait to our next lesson. "I made it." After that, his behavior changed. You know, I always had overseen his aggressiveness because I thought that with being respectful and peaceful, he would learn. You can say that was very naive. I did not see the aggressive teenager, but a young human with whom I wanted to learn. Not to teach him, but to learn together eye to eye. So staying friendly and respectful with patience and loving kindness, he learned by experience and changed his behavior. His text changed and his aggressiveness disappeared. The other example, I have that too in my institute, but I like this way of experiences. My guests who have come to these special Tupperware parties were adults. They understood that it is not mindful throwing away clothes that are okay. It turned to be important to them, knowing they share that attitude with other people. But the young ones who shared these special parties realized that from elders, or from me, who show what is necessary, what is important. That means that the newest clothes are not necessary. That you are accepted although you do not have the newest and the sexiest and whatever clothes, etc. And now, in 2008, these special Dana parties got a new dynamic, just by word of mouth. Since the beginning of this year, I got another group, a different circle of people, young people, students, neighbors, late colleagues from the time when I gave lessons in school. So different people who have fun making those close exchange parties. As I mentioned before, it's a project of the Institute for Further Development, Meditation and Buddhist Christian Dialogue. And the new circle resulted from different groups of people. Some were searching for stress removal techniques. Some were searching, I come to the end. Some were searching a counselor having different problems and needed someone to talk to, and some who come to the seminars about interreligious dialogue. They became mindful in maybe a very small part of thinking. So they do not only exchange clothes, they become more respectful for people who cannot afford fancy clothes. They realize to differentiate between the appearance of a person and the person, her or himself, who stands in front of them. They begin to think about life and environment and so on. You don't have to tell them that it's a special way of dana, of giving. They just experience that giving has its worth and that action is mindful. I know it's only a small step towards real dana, but it's a great beginning. The young ones are convinced by plain and simple qualities and have the courage to act against the mainstream of consuming and wasting. And I come now to my conclusion. So, how can we engage the younger generation? According to my experience, it's a process of giving compassion.